Today I am here to present to you my tips and tricks for traveling with your doll, specifically your American Girl doll. Last month I was able to go on my first vacation in 2 years. It was so nice. But I traveled to Flagstaff, Arizona from the East Coast of the United States where I live. So that was, a cross-country trip for me. And of course I had to bring a doll. Pretty much anytime I travel, I bring a doll. It's just something I've always done and will continue to do, even though I'm almost 25 years old. As an adult, I fly most of the time I travel because I don't want to drive. I don't want to do it. And also, I work full-time, so I don't even necessarily have the time to drive like I did when I was a kid and had summer break and whatever. These tips and tricks are really specifically for flying. If you're going to be flying with a doll, how to pack one, how to save space, what I did, what worked, whatever. But you could apply these tips and tricks for a road trip, especially if you have limited space. Maybe you have a Kia Soul. Maybe you have a smart car. Maybe you just have limited space. And that's what I'm here for, to help you with that. So the first thing I did before I left was select the doll that I was going to bring. I knew that I could only bring one doll, but I have plenty to choose from. I ended up narrowing it down to 4 dolls that I could potentially bring, and then I did a poll on my Instagram story to see which one I should bring, and then you guys voted for 118. I think that's her number. She still doesn't have a name. I'm sorry. But she ended up winning the poll, and I had just gotten her for Christmas, so she was perfect. And that's how I also decided to bring her. It was a poll on Instagram because that's how I make all important life decisions. Like I said, we were flying, and specifically we were flying with American Airlines. American Airlines policy is you get a personal item and a carry-on bag for free, but if you want to do any checked luggage, then it would be extra. So that means I was not checking any luggage. No ma'am, I am not paying extra for a checked bag. I knew that I really had limited space because I could only bring a small carry-on hard case suitcase that I ended up getting from TJ Maxx, I believe, and a personal item. And this is the hack for the personal item. Okay, this is the hack. I normally fly with Spirit Airlines. Stay with me. Stay with me. It's not a cheap thing, even though the flights are very cheap, and it is very nice. Spirit Airlines is the only airline that flies home for me for some reason. They're the only ones that offer a direct flight home. So I fly with them quite often. And again, on Spirit Airlines, I will not be checking a bag. If it's extra, it is not for me, okay? So I went on Amazon 2 years ago when I was about to take my first flight home with Spirit Airlines, and I looked up the specific dimensions that you would need for a carry-on or a personal item bag for Spirit Airlines. The first bag that pops up is this little duffel bag. So this is the size. I think when you think of a personal item, you think of a purse or a backpack, and theoretically that could work too, but I am a huge fan of this little duffel. Not sponsored, okay? Not sponsored. It's only $10, I think. It might even be cheaper than that. It's pretty thin, not gonna lie, so it's not the most sturdy thing ever, but I've had this for 2 years and it has never let me down. So I double checked the personal item dimensions for American Airlines, and this fit the personal item dimensions. So I brought this in addition to my carry-on, and I knew that this was going to be the doll bag. So if you open it like this, and then you have the doll, and you slide her. Oop. My demonstration's not going too well. Hold on. Okay. So she's in the bag right now, and you can't even really tell because she perfectly fits in there. Perfect size. And that's because this duffel is 19 inches long, so it perfectly fits a doll. I can put a link to it down below. Not sponsored. Again, not sponsored. I'm just think it's a great hack. It perfectly fits the American Girl doll. And I've never been stopped by TSA for them to open it up. Even though it looks like there's a little human in there, never been stopped by TSA. So I have an Instagram. I've had this Instagram for my dolls since 2014. Feel free to follow if you haven't already. So I knew that I really wanted to take doll photos in different locations. So that was one of the most important things for me. But I can't have her in the same clothes. So I did pack her clothes. I had these little drawstring bags that one of the sellers that my mom and I frequently purchase from on Etsy, she puts her clothes in these little drawstring bags, which is so cute. So what I ended up doing was just taking one of these little drawstring bags, and I put the clothes that I was going to bring in the drawstring bag. I ended up putting like 3 outfits in here. Because it's a drawstring bag and not like a hard suitcase, I was able to kind of like smush it down in there. But everything ended up working out perfectly fine. I had no issues, and I really liked this hack because, like I said, you can kind of smush it. It saves space a little bit. So when we got to Arizona, we flew into Phoenix, and then we had a 2-hour drive up to Flagstaff, which really wasn't that bad, but I was like delirious from exhaustion. Even though I was quite delirious on our drive up to Flagstaff, we did stop at a town like 15 minutes outside of Flagstaff. I don't know why we just didn't go all the way to Flagstaff, but we saw snow on the side of the road. And fun fact, I had never seen snow before. So we stopped at this town at this random like country club. And there were people like walking their dogs out with their kids, like doing normal family things, and then there's me and my boyfriend pulling off, and I'm like screaming. I'm so excited about the snow. I'm delirious. I like don't know what's going on.
It's like really icy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where's the rest of him?
It was so exciting seeing snow for the first time, and one of the things that I've always wanted to do is take doll photos in the snow. So that's what we did. I took a whole bunch of doll photos in the snow, and it was so much fun. I did have to use my socks as gloves because I didn't have any gloves, but it was a lot of fun, and I took some video, so I'll put it in. Everything was great. We got to the hotel. I immediately took her out because I will say you kind of maybe want to put the doll down towards the bottom of that duffel bag because her hair got caught in the zipper, and that was not fun. The next day was like our first like actual day that we could like go and do stuff, and we woke up super early because I'm used to Eastern time, not Mountain time. So I woke up super early. We ended up going to the Grand Canyon this day, which was so cool. And of course I had to take some doll photos. I took like a whole bunch. We did the road around the Grand Canyon, and then we also like got out and we went to like some shops like in the area, and we spent overall like 5 or 6 hours at the Grand Canyon, and we probably could have spent more. Like it was just so cool.
She's like, yippee!
Look at this.
She came here all by herself.
All by herself. As long as she doesn't fall, she's fine. We've disturbed the peace for doll photos. But I think it's worth it.
It was really pretty.
I go like this.
Oh my god. No! Look how close that is to the edge. Freaky. The next day, we actually just like stayed in Flagstaff. We didn't really do anything, but the area around our hotel was really gorgeous. So I ended up taking some doll photos just like around the hotel because it was just so pretty. So we ended up just kind of staying in the area, and then it started snowing, and that was so cool. So it just ended up snowing for the rest of the day, which was so beautiful because I've never seen snow fall from the sky like ever. It was so cool. Like if you live in a place that snows, I am kind of jealous, but also not, because I could see how it would be like a hassle. But it was so cool. Then on our third day, which was really our like last full day before we had to go back home, we ended up going to the Petrified Forest, which was all the way like almost in New Mexico. We ended up stopping at a meteor crater on the side of the road on our way there, and I got scammed. For 2 people, admission was $58 to see a meteor crater. I almost had to have the ambulance called because I almost fell out. Anyway, after getting scammed, we drove the rest of the way to the Petrified Forest, and we spent about like 3 or 4 hours there. It was really, really cool. Again, you probably could have spent all day there, and I ended up taking doll photos because it was just like so cool. It looked like an alien planet to me. It was just so cool. I think we were like 75% done with like the road through the Petrified Forest. I just kind of like lost interest in taking doll photos because there was so much to take in, and it was taking so much time to take these doll photos, and we needed to get back to Flagstaff. So I wish I would have gotten more, but I still got some really cool footage and some really cool doll photos. And I forgot to mention what made this whole trip so easy with the doll in particular is because we had a rental car. So I could just literally pick the doll, put it in the car, and go. Take my camera equipment, put it in the car, and go. So if we didn't have a rental car, this probably would have been a little bit more awkward and a little bit more difficult to coordinate. But because we had a rental car and we didn't have to like Uber everywhere or take public transportation, it was a lot easier and not as like hard to have the doll out because I don't care. It's just me and my boyfriend in the car and the doll. On our 4th day, technically our 5th day, that's when we had to pack up and go back to Phoenix to fly back home. But to pack the doll back up, I put her back in the duffel bag, and then I put her clothes back in the drawstring bag, and I just shoved them in there, good as new. I put some of my souvenirs on top of her, and we were good to go. Her boots that she has on, they still have dirt on them from the Petrified Forest. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if it's ever coming out. For my camera, if you had a camera and you did want to bring it with you, I was able to bring that because my boyfriend could also bring a personal item and a carry-on, and he just needed his carry-on. He didn't have a personal item. He didn't need it, so he brought my camera back for me. So that's how I was able to bring all of that. So get a partner to bring your extra bag if you need another one. I actually didn't end up buying anything for my dolls on this trip, which is quite the feat for me, but I think that's because the American Girl store that was in Arizona closed, so I didn't go to it. And while we were out there was really like nothing for the dolls, so I didn't buy anything. Again, quite the feat for me. So I was able to just take my doll out, take pictures of her on vacation, and then come back home and not bring home anything extra. Traveling, especially nowadays, whether it's like plane, train, or automobile travel, you're kind of tight on space. So I hope that this kind of helped show that you can travel with an American Girl doll even with like super limited space. I've even on my flights like back home to see like my family, where I only bring that duffel bag. I don't bring anything else because, again, it's Spirit Airlines. I will not be paying for anything extra. I will only bring that duffel, and then I'll go, like, see my parents, for example, and I'll bring a doll home with me. And I've been able to, like, put clothes, toiletries, whatever in there, and the doll, and it's worked just fine. So you can make it work. It's just about playing with space, playing with Tetris to just make it work. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching my vacation antics. This was a lot of fun. I like always bring a doll with me on vacation, so I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.